As far as saying, na depression is a late trend. Things they answer in a certain way, like Bushefo Hasi into in our country as it is. So school at the National University of Lesotho, where I was studying law. But with time, I still had that thing, but this is what I want. And I had to find ways to get into it, where I became the first black, but also the youngest head chef. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, right? Because whatever it is you eat is what fuels your brain as well. Any high sugar or high fat diet actually leads to depression. Just like anything else that can be fixed, the eating disorders can be fixed. It's just how you do it. Njays specializes in the Lesotho Highland Stout, which for those who know or who don't, is a hybrid deer, salmon and trout, and is very rich in your omega-3, the essential brain nutrient that we've been talking about all along.
Greetings and welcome to the 10th episode of the Reconnect podcast and TV show. Today I'm with the distinguished guest, Kamohelo Mathai. Greetings and welcome to the podcast.
Greetings to you as well, Ndate.
So in 5 minutes, can you please introduce yourself and tell us about your culinary background and what inspired you to become a chef?
Okay. About myself.
Yes.
That's always a round one because one never really knows where to start. But I'll quickly step into my career. I think you know that in our families, separation of duties and stuff in the households. So I liked cooking, or at least I liked seeing my mom and my grandmother cook a lot, but I was never really allowed to do it. And then I started doing it without them. I'm much clearer. Sometimes I'll get it wrong. Sometimes I won't manage to really hide the and I'd always get into trouble for it until my grandmother, I think she saw the interest and she decided that I would start joining. She used to run general cafe and takeaway and restaurant. So I started then going in Liena and now really seeing what was going on. So I think that's where it all started. And then eventually, Haki Kreta, my high school, I had proposed to my parents that I actually want to study to be a chef, but I have a, not traditional, but would we say, I don't really have the word for it because I don't want to say she's traditional because she's modern in her own way, but there are still things they answer in a certain way, like Bushefo Hasi into in our country as it is. So to her, it doesn't feel like it's a career. So it wasn't agreed upon. So I had to settle like everybody else at the National University of Lesotho, where I was studying law. But with time, I still had that thing, but this is what I want, and I had to find ways to get into it. In terms of my career, in short, I think the highlight would be 2016, much as even years before, because I started kind of going into it full time in 2014 after studying. And then in 2016, I worked for AfriSki, and I always felt like it was the right time, and it's what opened doors for me because after AfriSki, I got opportunity out at Maserumona, and and I worked with Number 7 restaurant at Kick for Life, where I became the first black, but also the youngest head chef end of 2016. So that was, I always feel like 2016 was a year that really defined my career. In 2019, I also got selected to go to France to work for experience under a program in Iran, à toute France, under concours de gastronomy. And a lot of people apply for the Ntotse Kantsina, and when you're told, okay, you are one of the 5 or whatever in Africa who made it, it feels like it's a lot. And on my return, I was then working as a private chef to diplomatic households, but also as a private chef to other people. Yes.
Wow. As you may be aware that June is mental health month, do you think that there's a particular connection?
Please.
So, as you may be aware that June is mental health month, do you think there's a particular connection between what we eat and our mental health?
There actually is a lot that is connected. I'll go straight into the the eating disorders, because they are connected to mental health a whole, clearly the general. And I think as we know, primarily and all of that, and that is the general info for nutrition. But as you go into it, you realize that there's so much more to it. Mental disorder. Your dietary patterns. Your dietary patterns affect your brain health, because breakfast is the most important meal of the day, right? Because whatever it is you eat is what fuels your brain as well. Whatever it is that you do before you sleep, remember how your body kind of goes into, is it a snooze mode?
Yeah.
And activity so if that says the body does not get a chance to fully process whatever it is that you've just given to it. So yes, the mental health. So yes, mental health is connected to what you eat, and there is something interesting that normally happens. Have you? What do you normally do? How you go to in terms of food? What do you get for yourself? Like that pick me up.
Well, I'm not sure. Like, it depends.
Okay, I'll tell you this. A lot of us, myself included, normally either go for your junk, like the most obvious junk. You'll get your packet of chips, you'll get that Russian makuinya, because you feel like that is it. You'll be happy. Kappa, you're gonna get the most sweetest of things. You'll treat yourself. And any high sugar or high fat diet actually leads to depression. And I think if we knew this, it would be quite helpful, because I can promise you, if you go through statistics, whenever people are upset or whatever, they go for the sweet.
So are there any specific nutrients or type of foods that are particularly beneficial for mental health?
Okay, I think the most obvious one that even your producers, like your fish mongers, normally talk about omega-3, which is very essential in the function of the brain, but also it's would we say maintenance. Omega-3 is not just maintenance. To keep your brain sharp or the way it should be, but also helps your brain as it functions throughout. So yes.
So can you share some herbs or nutrients that are known to boost mood or reduce anxiety?
In your general diet, it's often recommended that you consume the omega-3 we mentioned, but there is also other items, especially your nuts and seeds. They on the list. But recently I discovered that your legumes, which we know can easily be found, and they're more accessible rather and more affordable. You get your legume, you get your lentils. They are very rich in the nutrients. You get your beans. I mean, this is your typical diet. So that's why I was saying they're accessible.
So have you noticed any changes in your own mental well-being related to your diet?
Definitely. If you remember, there's a point I mentioned, diet how in the morning and diet how manzibua counts. Unfortunately, in my profession, because we on our food feed most of the time. But I realized something, no matter how early it is, just before shift yaka, I somehow have better energy. In the evenings, if I have a slightly early dinner, I am more productive throughout that shift without having to pump myself up with caffeine and stuff like that. Because what you find is that for most chefs, and then dinner service if like about 10 p.m. 10 p.m. dinner service if so obviously that says and then it goes back to point you also have to be worried that before you sleep. You need to give your body enough time to process whatever it is you put into it. Yes.
So can you share any success stories of clients or friends who have experienced positive mental health changes through dietary adjustment?
I do have one friend, obviously won't mention names, but who went through a bit of a depressive phase, and unfortunately, now I think this is probably something that everyone who's in depression undergoing depression goes through. They don't want to eat, they don't want to do anything, but they do whatever. But once afumana moto amo encouraging boy on and stuff like that, there is a change that obviously builds up. Day one, things get better. Day two, by the third week or whatever, kimani mo aning aseyabidele tabaya DPDC. Of course, didn't say anymore, but it's as hectic as when they started. Yes.
So what practical advice do you have for someone looking to start eating for better mental health?
Oh, sorry, can you repeat that?
What practical advice do you have for someone looking to start eating for better mental health?
Okay, I think because most of us lead very busy lives. One thing I would advise people to do is have like would we call it an eating buddy? Moto ele, like a colleague. You share ideas. What are you bringing for your lunch tomorrow, or what are we having for breakfast together? Also, remember you spend 80% of your time at work. Then we can start talking about what you guys are going to have for breakfast together, what you're going to have for lunch together, because definitely those 2 meals, you're going to have them in 17. And this way, it looks like a tusa monitorana, because let's be honest, it's not very easy for one to stick to things like taba discipline ke taba thata haholo, but how na le motho who holds you accountable? I mean, yes.
So are there any common dietary pitfalls or food to avoid that can negatively impact mental health?
Sugar is the biggest one. Sugar is the biggest one, but it's a weakness for many. And as I also mentioned before, fat is another one. Junk food tastes great, but it's our downfall when it comes to our mental health.
So are there any cooking methods that can help preserve the nutrients in food better, fast enhancing their mental health benefits?
I often say the cooking of food. How you're already processing them, and what matters in the event who process how are you watching the temperature and that are you doing it correctly? Because as it is, when the nutrient, it's a water soluble, so that if you say cook them at high temperatures, so it's always just a matter of ensuring that you prepare your food the right way. If you're steaming your food, then steam it proper, steam it right. Don't over steam it. If you're boiling it, don't overboil it. All of that.
So can you talk about any traditional dishes from Lesotho that are beneficial for mental health?
Okay, I think also from earlier I had mentioned that your legumes and seeds are also regarded as your high nutrient-rich brain food, and tabaya, your lentils, the legumes, actually that group where the legume would be a good example. What we have that is accessible.
So given that this episode is sponsored by Njays Family Restaurant, can you tell us about any mental health focused dishes or special ingredients they use?
Okay. Njays specializes the Lesotho Highland Stout, which for those who know or who don't, is a hybrid salmon and trout, and is very rich in your omega-3, the essential brain nutrient that we've been talking about all along. But there's also prawns, which also provide the same nutrients. But I personally discovered that shrimp, which is your smaller prawns, are actually even higher in nutrients but have less calories. So that would be the perfect choice for your diet, particular people.
What are some misconceptions about diet and mental health that you'd like to clear up?
I think, like I'd said, your high sugar and high fat diets often lead to depression. Maybe we should start with that one. But also, we should take note tabaya batho ba reng people can't escape their eating disorders. Just like anything else that can be fixed, the eating disorders can be fixed. It's just how you do it. Like I was saying, having someone who holds you accountable to what you eat and things like that. Another one, people believe that the eating disorder is lifestyle. I think you are privy of this. There has been a time, even on social media, where people will go to as far as saying na depression is a late trend, which is interesting to hear, but also shocking to see just how limited our people are to information. The eating disorder has a lifestyle and dinale a reason for happening, and the best way to attend to them is always trying to find out the source, handle what's causing this person to have this disorder. Like, some people binge eat, some people don't eat at all, and most of the time it's tied to the values of society, vanity. As people watch TV, they think the size 2 figure, if they are a size 8, then there's something wrong with them. Yes.
So, any last tip or thoughts you'd like to share with our audience about improving their mental health through what they eat? So, any last tips or thoughts you'd like to share with our audience about improving their mental health through what they eat?
I think regular exercise, keeping fit will always top the list. And personally, what I normally do is take my dog for a walk, because it also needs the walk. Normally, it's about an hour, sometimes 2 hours. Because what this does is that it boosts your mood, but it also helps you keep fit. Another one, even though I know this is a tough one for me, the whole prioritizer, you're sleeping. You need to sleep proper 8 hours, which is there are days when I manage it, especially when I've had quite a day, but I'm generally someone hour long 2-4 hours, that's it. And I sometimes, or most of the time, end up working, because that's when I'm most productive, to see what I'm doing. Another one would be trying to eat healthy and maybe being held accountable for it. I've also seen that if you practice gratitude, have a gratitude jar or have a gratitude journal where you note, or you always write whatever it is you're grateful for the day. And it can be small things. I managed to finish that something that I've always wanted to write. You tick it off, and somehow your brain releases what is it called? Is it the serotonin? That then helps you be more relaxed. I think maybe the last one, or maybe the second last, would be Tabayaho focus on positivity. If you've realized, but would we say something negative to say about things, they're the least happy people. Have you realized that? And then there's that one, life here high in saying, even as perfectly as sometimes we think, but o fumane hore motho enwa o dula a le khotso e monate ya kgapatsehang. And another one that I think is important, staying connected, which I think a lot of us might struggle with or take for granted. That batho re dula Maseru kapa wherever, someone could be working in Joburg, and ha le mono they are far away from family, which is normally more because of the way that families are set up. And how so you will find that most times than not, you come back from work, sometimes you continue working on, you're already preparing for the next day of work, and the human interaction that is also needed to help you. So yeah, I think that would be the top of my list.
Oh, thank you so much for being on the Reconnect podcast and TV show. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
I think it's important for our people, especially for generation Yarona, who got mental health very seriously. Because, like I said earlier, it's still a joke to some people. And there is no understanding to extent much as I understand where it's coming from. There was this thread on Twitter. What do black parents say? How to go therapy or whatever? Because they feel like you want to trigger everything in your life, but Baba in such a humorous but offensive way, but to see how it affects the next person. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, man.